Hello and welcome to the Snapshot Syndicate podcast. Be sure to subscribe for more content, and whilst you're at it, go and follow our social media pages. They're on screen now. Now, on to the episode.
Bradders, how's it going, mate?
Yeah, not bad, mate. You?
Yeah, mate, good. Very good weekend this weekend for us Seahawks fans. With that said, let's get into Seahawks reflection. So, Seahawks, away Saturday in Sheffield. The game started pretty poorly. We're 4-1 down going into the third. Big recovery. We'll come out of Sheffield with a smash and grab 5-4 win. Everybody's happy. We come back with the 2 points. We roll into Sunday and history repeats itself. We're 4-1 down again, but a miracle happens once again and we leave with the win, 5-4 win. What do you think?
Well, first time you'd call it luck, maybe.
Possibly.
Lapse of concentration for 2 periods, turn it on in the last. Twice in a weekend. You got to think there's some...
Well, you got to think there's maybe a bit of high power favouring Seahawks at the moment. I think you would take it as a Seahawks fan, looking at previous results in the past couple of weeks where we struggled to come away with any sort of points.
Yeah.
Another 4-point weekend. It probably doesn't do things in the long run for the league standings, but it keeps us in good momentum going into the next weekend.
Yeah, I mean, point taken. I'm not sure we should ever put ourselves in that position. I think we're good enough as a team to not have to turn it on that quick. Yeah,
completely agree. I do not like the idea of having to chase a game, especially going into the third period. Sheffield's normally very good, scoring lots of goals lately.
Very good side this year, to be honest.
They've taken the time to get going. I know we saw Walker Sommer, and he had another blinder again this weekend for me.
Yeah.
Very good import, really hitting some form and scoring goals, and important goals as well for him.
Yeah.
We'll talk about more individual players on this. So the game winner in Sheffield was Lee Bonner for Hull Seahawks.
Bones.
Another great season for me at the minute. Just energy, power, skill. He's got it all. He's added a lot more goals to his game this season. I'd still like to see a few more goals.
Yeah. I mean, he does a lot of the dirty work that
he does.
Most players don't. So the goals, whilst I'd like him to be putting up more, I can appreciate the work he does.
Yeah. It's more hard work as opposed to more goals at the moment.
Yeah,
which you can take.
And you can just see, can't you, when he comes onto the ice, the presence he has with other teams are aware of him.
Yeah.
Skating up behind them, just giving them narrow gaps towards the boards, and just making them think twice about what they're going to do. Maybe they, instead of running at the players, they just try and weave in and out rather than giving them an opportunity.
I agree. I mean, if I'm picking up the puck behind my own net or in my own third and I pick my head up and I see Lee Bonner coming at me, I'm getting rid.
Yeah.
He's that sort of player where he's hard hitting and he just runs you over, steamrolls you, and that gets the fans into the game as well. Everybody loves a hard hit, so seeing him doing stuff like that really gets you going, and in games where we was 4-1 down, that can be a real momentum changer.
Yeah. And obviously being an ex-Sheffield lad, getting the winner for the Seahawks.
Well, yeah, like you say, he's done that a few times this season. He's got the quality to do it, will continue to do it. And that's what you want in the end, don't you? You want big characters coming in the last period, last few minutes of a game to win you a game.
Yeah.
So we'll go into Sunday, the home game. I thought we started all right, if I'm honest. I know we was penned back to start with a little bit with...
neck and neck. Won it for first 15 minutes, it was definitely just neck and neck.
Yeah, it was hard.
It was 1-0 up quite... Sheffield went 1-0 up quite early on, but,
Yeah, I mean, I suppose on the night, the big talking point was obviously Det Barmer sign up. So the announcement came at 10 p.m. after the Hull-Sheffield game in Sheffield. The Hull Seahawks announced that Det Barmer coming back. Sort of a surprise. What do you think to that?
Buzzing. I think it's the best thing for the team. Obviously, with him signing at the beginning of the season, getting announced with a C on his jersey, to then just before the season starting, being told as fans, actually he's not going to be part of it now, and then obviously having a reshuffle in the team, I think it maybe not upset the apple cart, but created that uncertainty with fans, because we know his consistency over the last few seasons has been there. It's just been amazing. First, I think it was the 2022 he was getting the most minutes of the team.
Yeah, I think he was putting 25, 30 minutes on a game. Half a game is a lot of minutes to put on a guy.
At least twice a week.
Yeah, exactly
it's going to take its toll on a person and certainly your team. But because he was doing that, now with him not being in the team at the start of this season, you just notice a huge difference. There's like a gap missing in that defensive line, and then that's noticeable when you lose the likes of Hayward.
Yeah. I mean, I noticed in the first couple of shifts with Detbarmer that there was just composure at the back. You know, he would get the poke on his stick and then look up and see what the pass was. I know in the past few weeks we've mentioned it. We've tend to a bit of a dump and chase kind of team.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping once Deck settles a bit, gets an eye with some of these new players, he will start to find the passes and get us up the ice in a more controlled way instead of just dump and chase.
Yeah, there's a bit of rust to shake off there, as there would be with anyone that's just had quite a lengthy layoff. But you can tell the energy is there.
Yeah.
Obviously, the team was fired up. Everyone wanted him back. Him coming back's just ignited a fire, and it certainly did to the start of last night. I mean, just hearing the crowd when they announced his return on the ice, it was massive.
And then on his first shift, he got a penalty.
Yeah, well.
And that's just vintage Detbarmer for you right there.
Yeah, start as you mean to go on.
Yeah. I think listening to Matty Davies' interview last night, he did say it was the first time he'd been on the ice since August. So 3 or 4 months without being on the ice, it will be hard. The pace of the game, the way Hull and Sheffield play each other is a big Yorkshire derby game. I think he did well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that was a very pacey game. So for him to be able to skate backwards and keep up with the likes of Bjorkley Nordstrom and that on the wing, it's a big ask, and
it is.
He definitely delivered.
Yeah.
So
going into the likes of Nordstrom, Sommer, which we mentioned as well, I think Sheffield's imports was classy again.
Yeah.
Even last night in Hull, they really are the ones that carry that team and bring a lot of that sort of final piece that they've been missing for me. You know, in seasons gone by, Sheffield have relied heavily on one import and the others have kind of just drip-fed points throughout the season, where I think at the moment their imports are big hitters.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you only have to take a look at the rosters as well at the moment. You mentioned Walker Sommer.
Yeah.
He's got 32 goals this season, 29 assists, 61 points. He's up there with the best of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can see the likes of they had Daniel Crowe in the net last night.
He had a really good game. I know he got some real heckling for kicking off the goal.
He did, but in fairness, he kept us quiet for
I was going
to
say there was a couple of power plays I remember where I think it was the second period and Hull was throwing a serious amount of shots at him, and he was just catching them, grabbing them, freezing the play, and just keeping Sheffield, in a good moment there. Because if the shots keep raining on him, you're expecting a goal, and he just kept shutting everything down.
You look at the likes of Svek, he hits them slap shots from the left-hand side.
Yeah.
There's only so many times you think he's going to do that and miss.
Yeah.
Or it's one of those is going to go in eventually, but he kept him very quiet, which disheartens Svek or annoys him, and then you end up with a bit of a ruckus in the team, and you can see there's some good mentality there, I think. And we've obviously got Dima in goal.
Yeah.
Who was a
ex-Sheffield
lad.
Yeah.
Being told that he's not going to get any time there, so made the move to us. Just, again, amazing performance for me.
So normally I want to go into sort of like discipline now. With Hull and Sheffield, usually discipline kind of goes out the window for both sides, and that's what tends to win these games. Not massive amounts of penalty minutes either both games, to be fair.
No.
Do you think that sort of played into the spectacle of the game, or do you think would you like to have seen a bit more nitty gritty, fisticuffs in there?
Yeah, I mean, as a spectator, I like the physical side of the game, but as a Seahawks fan, I actually think it can be our kryptonite. Us getting into that face off with people and getting behind our skin, it can sometimes make us implode, and then it loses us games rather than wins us games.
Yeah.
I look at the likes last week. We had Leeds and Bobby Chamberlain stepped up to the plate, had a fight when we was looking a bit flat, and you expected that was going to ignite us. I actually think it didn't at all.
Yeah, we didn't get a response at all from that, did we?
Didn't get a response, and it can be our kryptonite sometimes. Teams know that they can get under our skin.
Yeah.
And if they get under our skin, they fold us over because it's like we can forget how to play hockey, and we're just looking for these big hits across the board. Trying to hassle them to prove we're a stronger team than what they are. But that doesn't win games when you've got some.
No, absolutely not.
Skillful players on the ice.
So I'll bring it back in. Obviously Sunday, Hull win it 5-4 once again. Obviously we can comment a bit more on that with us being at the actual game. I was worried going into that third period. We did look flat again. Sheffield looked in total control of the game. But in the end, Hull came out and it was ex-Sheffield Jason Hewitt.
Yeah.
To come in with a bizarre goal.
Yeah.
The initial shot gets put on goal. The goaltender's at his post. Hewitt then falls behind the goal and flicks it, and it comes off his back and falls in the back of the net. I mean, you want to win a game, you take what you can, and it was a big goal for him. Again, Matty Davis said about the lack of goals that have come from Jason Hewitt this season. I know I've mentioned to those around me that I think on the power play his points are where it's coming from. He's big on the power play. His assists on those moments are really good. But to see him finally get a goal, I thought was really good for him.
Yeah. And you've said a number of times, and he's a proven winner.
Yeah, exactly that.
His track record speaks for itself, and that was the momentum shift in that game. Obviously, we was pushing for the goal. Hewitt got that goal, shifted completely. Then felt like we was going for the win.
Yeah,
we weren't looking to, draw or.
And I think once we started pulling the game back and the fans started getting a bit more behind the team, I would say it being a Seahawks fan, but you could see a win was pretty much coming once again.
Yeah. And love him or hate him, Hewitt does that for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
He has that ability to get under the skin of other teams, but also lead our team.
Yeah, and I think you get that with a few players, like you say, Hayward's a prime example of that. There was a bit of that again last night. There was a bit of fisticuffs in front of the net, and Hayward's there washing the face of someone trying to start something off, which you love to see, and it does get people a bit irate and gets them in the penalty box, which is what you want, really.
Yeah. All in all, good weekend, I think.
Good weekend. Hope we can move it on to next weekend.
Yeah. I think just another standout performance before we finish is we've got to mention Johnny Corneal.
Yeah, Johnny Corneal, absolutely 2-2. I will openly admit I've been a big critic of his. Coming in as that third import, I didn't think he would be up to scratch. Did start slightly slower than anticipated, I think a few fans would say. But now he's starting to really get gritty and do the hard yards, and he's getting a bit of rewards on the points for that. Yeah,
4 points across the weekend.
Yeah. But all in all, we're going to next weekend and we hope we get some more wins.
Yeah, it's currently sat in 4th position. So
I think that's what we need to look at now is as much as we probably won't chase for the league title in the long run, it's where we can finish and where we can set ourselves up for playoffs.
Yeah, last year we narrowly missed out on playoffs, but too close for my comfort. I'd like to see us securing a spot there. Yeah,
once we get our group phase in the playoffs, I think, if you end up with Sheffield or Milton Keynes, you'd expect them to sort of top the groups, and then, as a fan of Seahawks, I'd expect them to come in that second spot quite comfortably against the other two teams.
Yeah.
It doesn't always work out like that, but we'll see how the season progresses.
That's what we love.
So moving on from Seahawks reaction, we're going to now talk about the rest of the league and what's happened over the weekend. So taking a look, Milton Keynes, we'll start with those. Still at the top of the table. They had a tricky weekend, home and away against Peterborough.
Yeah, big doubleheader, come away with 4 points.
Yep, going to a shootout in one of those games as well. Yeah. Getting the second point was massive for them.
Yeah, definitely. Currently sat with a 77.42 points percentage.
They're very good. Still got a point lead over Leeds, but Leeds have got a 2-game in hand.
Yeah, and Leeds obviously this week as well. They've had some big games, big results coming off the back of Solway. Yeah,
big travel to Solway and then back in the Castle.
Yeah.
Again, another 4-point weekend for them. Doing very well. We'll throw in there our first star of the week, Kieran Brown.
Yeah.
Came in clutch, back to his best, some would say.
Yeah, definitely.
Started the season a bit slower after getting run over by Davy Phillips in Hull early season. Then the wrist injury, which has sort of plagued him for the past number of weeks. But now he's back at it. 6-2 for the weekend.
Yeah. Seems to be back to his normal self, doesn't he?
Back to his normal self. Leeds probably just going to steamroll through now. Now he's back to his best.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they're still sat in second, got 2 games on MK to deliver the rest of the points to put them top.
Yeah.
They've done that without Kieran Brown, so, you know, they've
Yeah.
had some big games, and he's obviously going to come back and put some big points on the board for him, so...
Absolutely. We'll move into third place, Swindon Wildcats. They played on Friday night. Big shutout. Big shutout from Rennie Marr in there.
Another star of the week.
Another star of the week. We put him as number 3 this week with his shutout, and then a great return as well on the Saturday.
Yeah.
And conceding 2.
Yeah. I mean, Swindon, they had some big games this week. They obviously played Friday, Saturday, so lay off Sunday. But
Some slow burner. Just sort of doing the business. Everybody's sort of just overlooking them, but, you know, they're not miles off it. When you look, they're 6 points off top.
Yeah.
Game in hand on Milton Keynes, so it could be 4 points.
Yeah.
You know, you then look into the head-to-head after that.
Mm.
You know, they could still be in there come the end of the season.
Yeah, definitely. You can't write Swindon off. I remember Coventry as well. They got there last year, and it was just phenomenal. Yeah. So I think they're a team to watch, definitely. Obviously, another star of the week coming from Swindon. For my opinion, we've got Bricknell.
Yeah.
So he's put some points on the board this weekend.
Yeah. Hit the 56-point mark after this weekend.
Yeah, was it 47, 49?
49 before the weekend started.
The weekend.
Went 4-3 this weekend.
Yeah.
You know, another good return. A player, in my total honesty, I don't know much about.
No, I can't say I do as well, to be honest, but when you look at the standing and the statistics, you know, it speaks for itself, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
He's big for Swindon. Very big.
He is indeed, yeah. So we'll move on to sort of middle of the pack. 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th, all split by 1 point. So Hull Seahawks in 4th, Romford Raiders 5th, Sheffield Steel Dogs in 6th and Peterborough Phantoms in 7th. So as we've already mentioned, Seahawks getting the 4 points against Sheffield has dropped them down to 6th this weekend. But again, a point or 2 between those four teams.
That's wide open, isn't it? Literally, you look, a game changes things differently.
Absolutely.
That top 4 at the moment, they need to keep winning games, because all of a sudden, these between 4 and 7.
These are the points where a team's got to think we need a win, because as we slowly edge towards the end of the season, playoff spots again, you know, where you're seeded, who you're against, you're going to be thinking, if we can just get up to that next little slot above us within a point, we could have a more favourable draw going into the playoffs. Yeah,
definitely. And, you know, we've got to obviously look at Hull. Hopefully, us moving up the table, taking the 4th place, is that going to help us build momentum? Or is it are we going to be crumble under the pressure?
I don't think you want to be chasing, do you?
No.
You know, if you're ahead of that little group there, you keep winning, you keep your momentum going. It's better than having to chase and thinking, right, we need something this weekend, and maybe not playing your game because you're trying to get something that you wouldn't normally get. Yeah.
I mean, what are you thinking if you're Peterborough at the moment?
Well, coming off the back of playoff win last year, nobody would have really anticipated them winning that.
No.
But then they've been a bit hit and miss. They've had some big results so far this season. Yeah. I know they've played Milton Keynes a couple of times. I'm sure they've had a couple of wins. Pushed them close again, obviously, this weekend. But with it being close, you could think just one weekend could put them back up there.
Yeah, I mean, Steel Dogs coming off a double-header loss in such emphatic fashion against us this week. Don't know, are they going to be dip heads?
It's just as a little sad one for you, yeah. Looking at the league table, Sheffield coming off a double loss, but now they're looking towards the second leg at home against Leeds in the Cup, coming Tuesday, I believe. Is there an eye on that, do you think? And that's maybe why they've dropped a little this weekend?
There's got to be. You go for silverware, don't you? Every team wants a bit of silverware in the cabinet, so...
Especially, it'll be their first since their big restructure.
Yeah.
So it would be massive for them there. Looking towards the bottom of the table, Solway Sharks, you know, they picked up 2 defeats to Leeds. I don't think that was massively surprising, if I'm completely honest.
Yeah, not too much shame in that, I don't think. I mean, most teams struggle to keep up with Leeds, so...
Yeah.
They can only look forward from that point, I think.
Well, they've obviously got one of the better scorers in the league, in Gardner, who's having a great season.
Yeah.
So, if they start playing the lower end teams, mid-table teams, I think they will pick up more points there themselves.
Dunbar,
Yeah.
he'll be putting some points on the board for them, I think.
Yeah, really like him.
Yeah.
Looking further below Solway is Telford Tigers. Started the season very poorly, sort of having to chase themselves as they've been going. A bogey team for Hull Seahawks, as we've seen many a time.
Yeah. Team will we play next week as well.
Absolutely. Another weird team for me. Nothing's a certainty when you play Telford. You could go there, you get a nice win, you think, well, we've got out of there nicely, or they will give you an absolute, real
They
game.
turn up when they come to us.
They do.
Every single time. I can't remember a time with Watts all over them at our place. They've always put up a fight. I don't think you can write them off. Certainly if they get into a playoff position, or if they manage that, they could go on from there.
I would put them down as the disruptor in the league. Despite their position, I don't think many people want to go there.
Yeah.
Because of what they will do to you.
Yeah.
They're a hard-hitting, aggressive team,
Yeah.
and they don't mind dropping the gloves either.
No, definitely. Then you got Bristol, 10th.
Bit of a weird one with Bristol. I've seen a couple of times they've had some good games. Played hard, but maybe just haven't got the 60 minutes in the legs.
Yeah.
And that's maybe why they're not picking up the points as they maybe should be.
Yeah, something's not quite clicked as it. I mean, they played us, they put up a good battle against us, but
quality just shines in the end.
Yeah. At the end of the day, if you want to be the best, you've got to be the best, and I don't think Bristol ever do that. So
no. Final spot is going to be Berkshire Bees.
Yeah.
Which we won't drum onto that too much. We know the issues them guys have got down there. Turning up with 11 skaters, 2 goalies at times. It's an hard graft when you're playing all weekend and you haven't got the skaters compared to other teams.
Hats off to a team that travels and turns up to a game with 11 skaters.
Absolutely. They turned up, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, to play Hull. You can see the short bench, and do you know what? They give it a good game.
Yeah.
Really good game. For 40 minutes, they grafted, and do you know what? They had some solid performers on the night.
Yeah.
And there's no shame in losing when you've seen, another 6 extra guys over you.
Yeah. And hopefully, this will be the start of a rebuild for them.
Absolutely.
They'll get the players in, they'll start gelling, turning over results, and hopefully we'll see them somewhere in the mid-table.
Well, that's what we want. We want it to be more competitive, and we don't want to lose teams, after the Base and Stoke, where they left the league.
Yeah.
We want to keep teams. If anything, we want to add more. A bigger league makes it more interesting, doesn't it? I know it means more travel and costs and such, but we don't want to lose teams, is the bottom line.
No, I agree.
So to complete this section, we're just going to revise over our stars of the week. So in first place for us was Kieran Brown for the Leeds Knights, Bricknell for Swindon, and Renimar for Swindon.
Right then, moving on. Big talking point. Seems to be some conversation going on this week about, hockey being a family-friendly sport. Should we take on that one, Az?
Don't get me started on this. Do not get me started. Right, I've seen the post from 4,000 and counting this week, and I've been looking at some of the comments. For me, I've been going 12, 15 years now to ice hockey, and in my opinion, straight up, I'm just going to tell you, it's not a family-friendly sport. There's a lot of violence, a lot of swearing, shouting, chirping. I know you've got to advertise the sport for everybody and be inclusive, but as a whole, I just don't think the sport is that family friendly. Yeah,
I suppose that's where you get the hunger from, and that when you want a team behind you. Look at our rink, for example. When teams come in, we try and make them feel uncomfortable. We want them to know that they're at our house. Yeah. They're at our house. We're not going to make it easy for them. I think with that, there comes an element of chirping and the penalty box being right where it is. The players are always going to get a bit of stick. There's always going to be things said. And you're not going to police that. I mean, on the flip side of that, you're going to want kids coming into this sport. You don't want to turn parents off to the idea of introducing them to hockey.
For me personally, when you're saying about getting kids into the sport, the biggest issue isn't the violence or anything else, fan interaction and whatnot. It's the cost of the game. We've tried having a go at the game. We started with roller hockey. and you can see the cost straight away just for that. The gear's not as much, you don't need as much for roller hockey, but it still costs us a few quid to play the game. Getting your kid into hockey costs money, and you need to know that that's something they want to do.
Yeah.
Going back to what you said about like people and teams that come to Hull Ice Arena, the away team come past what we call A block, which is where we sit, and it's, well, we've seen on Twitter that A block's already had a bit of a bashing for the way people get chirped and whatnot, coming on and leaving the ice. For me, there's nothing wrong with that in the game. We've all seen footage online of like football games where there's kids flipping off and giving hand gestures to players, and people find it funny.
Yeah.
So I don't see what the difference is between football and ice hockey. There's a difference between hooliganism and what you're seeing at the game.
Mm-hmm.
Totally appreciate that. I don't think you see as much in terms of like the hooliganism from other sports in ice hockey. Ice hockey, as we've seen at playoff weekends, fans literally sit block by block next to each other and intermingle, communicate, and everybody has a good time.
Mm-hmm.
So as good as things can be like that, the on ice, the way the game's played, it's hard, it's aggressive, really fast paced, things happen in the game, emotions happen. Unfortunately, kids, those who are offended easily, are going to be hurt by things that happen.
Yeah. What do you think as a player? If you're putting in the work behind the scenes and you're going out into a game and you want to play your best, and it gets heated. We've all played sport, so we know how that gets sometimes, and that's the thing that spares you on. It ignites your team. Yeah. Gets people behind you. Them lapses in concentration, they happen from people being too relaxed in the game.
When you look at ice hockey and the violence, the fighting, the way like the players manage the game as opposed to the referees doing it all like you would in football per se, the fact that the players can take it on themselves to sort out any issues between each other, I think makes the game. Yeah. It makes the game more positive, makes the games run better.
Bonds the team together.
When we look at like football, for example, and we look at the whole diving situation and stuff like that, if somebody does that on the ice and is being a bit of a twat, they're getting their head kicked in. Yeah. And I have no issues with that. If people want to simulate and try and cheat the way out, it gets dealt with.
Yeah.
So looking at it, I understand if we look at ice hockey from a business side, bums on seats is what pays rink fees, equipment, players' wages, travel costs. So we have to open the sport up to everybody from every sort of background. And the only way to do that is by putting this bracket round it and saying the game is family friendly. Yeah.
I mean, it seems to be anybody who goes to hockey consistently has experienced chirping as an away fan.
Yeah.
And also the chirping you might do as a home fan.
Yeah.
And you look, our rink is quite closed in. So you mentioned that the away team has to walk past A block to get onto the ice, as do the away side have to walk all the way around the rink to get to their block at the back.
Yeah.
So they pass all of the players, and we're very close to the ice as it is. The players can hear us. That's just from our rink. I know we've been to Leeds together where we've experienced that as away fans. We've been to Coventry, and we've all been in a pub talking to these. So I think it's taken in jest. All of the chirping that goes along. You get some swearing and things like that. You can still walk away from the game and appreciate another team's performance and their fan base.
Absolutely.
Without there being any animosity towards it or it actually cutting that deep.
When you look at, like when you say about the chirping and stuff, how many times have we had it where we've chirped the away penalty block in front of us and the other players turn around and give us a wave or smirk back? And to be fair, the players love it as much as anything else. You obviously get the odd one which turns round, and because their head's in the game and the emotions got to them, they'll start, shouting something back at you. But largely, I think it's all just in good fun.
Yeah.
And the fact that some people are watching you and like, oh my God, why is he doing that sort of thing? It's just a good laugh. I mean, I know when we do it, we don't get personal or say anything out of 10.
No.
There's a line, and as long as you stay on the right side of the line,
yeah.
all well and good for me.
It'd be good to get people's perspective on this. So, yeah, if you got your own opinions on this, please feel free to drop them in the comments. Drop us a message where we want to get some opinions on it, and we might revisit this one.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
yeah, definitely. I mean, as a sponsor, if your team's got a reputation of making away fans feel comfortable, what do sponsors think of that?
Yeah, again, it's all revenue. You know, if you've got certain big companies, like for example, Hull Seahawks' main sponsor is Reckitt's.
Yeah.
You know, a big pharmaceutical company. You know, worldwide renowned. People find out that they're sponsoring an ice hockey team, and all it is blood and gore and profanity. I suppose, you know, for them it probably doesn't look as good.
Yeah.
But I suppose if you was to maybe just pull them in and just say, why don't you come watch a game then for yourself?
Yeah.
And the people start to see that it isn't as bad as people make out online.
Yeah.
You know, it becomes part of the game and people actually enjoy it. I mean, we've seen countless number of new people come to the rink just this season, and people have returned and stayed.
Yeah.
So, you know, largely the game can't be that bad. If there's new people coming, staying and becoming season pass holders.
I don't think it's that bad.
I don't think it's that bad.
I've been to plenty of games myself, like I say, away and home. I can't say I've ever experienced something where I've come away thinking, that's bang out of order.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. I think there's been potential issues at Leeds where people have been given hand gestures and such and such. I don't really agree with that in terms of an aggressive approach to another fan. If another fan's giving you grief, then just go have a word with them, sort it out personally. There's no need to turn to a full block and start giving hand gestures and the rest. That's a bit below the belt for me.
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying it is just Leeds, they're just the ones, you know, I've experienced and I've seen on the social media as well.
It's that I think the main thing is, you know, the refereeing. As soon as people think decisions are going against them that are not warranted, that's where things start really coming out of the woodwork and people start chirping.
Yeah.
That's why I've noticed mainly, and then once that happens, you know, the players get involved and the fans shout back, and again coming back to our rink, they walk out. The fan base starts talking to the players who might rise to what another comment that a fan said, and before you know it, you've got people sat there with kids assuming that that's a hostile environment.
Yeah.
It's not. It's just hockey.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly that.
That's my take on it.
Yeah, well, to wrap this section up, as you've just said there, that is hockey. There has been isolated incidents in the game where fans and players have interacted with either each other and things have maybe boiled over. Fans have got into each other a bit, but I think that's why security is there. But at the end of the day, largely, the game is the game.
Yeah.
And I'm happy with the game as it is.
Yeah, I agree.
So keep hitting each other, keep shouting at each other, and keep enjoying this bloody good game that we're a part of.
Yeah, exactly. And genuinely, guys, let us know your thoughts on this.
So before we finish the episode, we're going to look at this week's fixtures. First of all, we're going to start with the second leg of the Cup. Sheffield Steel Dogs versus Leeds Knights. 2-2 on aggregate. What do you reckon on this one?
I mean, how can you not have Leeds win this one?
I agree with you. It looks favourable for Leeds, but Steel Dogs, I think, are going to put all the pennies in this basket and go for this. Especially coming out with that 59-59 goal to equalise it. You know, I think that gives them a lot of confidence going into this. Despite the results of the weekend, I might throw one for Sheffield here.
Right, yeah.
Love an underdog.
Little local derby. I think it's going to be an interesting one. Good to see how that one plays out.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Moving on to the league then. We have got quite a few games coming up, by the looks of it.
Yeah, so we've got one on New Year's Day that I know of. So that is Swindon Wildcats against Bristol Pitbulls. What do you think for this one?
Again, I can only see it going one way, Swindon.
I agree with you on this one. I think the form of Swindon, you know, as we've already pointed out, our stars of the week with the goaltending, the goal scoring. I think that's almost a banker, that one for me.
Yeah, they've got the momentum going there, haven't they?
Yeah.
Romford, Milton Keynes.
Yeah, 3rd of January. Yeah. Romford have done well this season. I know they've picked up a lot of points in one sort of segment of the past sort of 6 to 8 weeks, but they're just starting to tail off a little bit now. And I think Milton Keynes are going to really realise they need to get into the business part of their season now.
Yeah, they're going to be hard to break, I agree with that. They're holding the number one position. They know Leeds have got 2 games on them. You've got to go for games like this. I can't see them losing it, to be honest. So then on the 4th of Jan, introducing the Saturday fixtures, we've got Swindon against Romford.
Again, another really good game. As we've just stated, Romford, very good side. They'll be looking to push for a really good playoff spot. But again, Swindon, I fancy them in this one.
Yeah, just got the edge for me too as well, mate. Leeds and Hull.
Big one for us.
Yeah.
Big one for us. I think we are one of the better teams against Leeds. I think we picked up probably the most wins against Leeds out of any other side. But have we got enough to get over the line? I'm hoping with Detbarmer, now with Hull Seahawks, that it just solidifies our defence a bit more. I know on the offence we can give them a real game.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one. I know Leeds are going to come out fighting. We versed them a couple of weeks ago and they seem to be really on their game, but I'm going to go for us. I'm going to back our run on this one.
I'm going to back us for that one.
Yeah, so take that as a challenge, Leeds. Solway Steel Dogs.
Again, depending what could happen in the cup game, could have a big bearing on this for me. You know, if they manage to get to the final, the actual head of steam that team will get, I reckon they'll go on a real nice run. I do believe it's at the Shark Tank, which means that they've got a big trek on if it is in the Shark Tank. Solway do pose a bit of a threat. For me, like I just said, it will probably go against what happens in that cup game. I think I will just back Sheffield again in that.
Yeah, I think Sheffield too. I do. And then we've got Bristol Pitbulls against the Peterborough Phantoms. That will be a good game.
Peterborough for me.
Just
with obviously Bristol's standing in the league, they're struggling. Peterborough are thereabouts in the playoffs, just sort of, you know, steady along. But I do fancy them in that one.
Yeah, and then we've got Milton Keynes against Berkshire Bees, and to be honest, I only see that one going one way as well.
Yeah, I hate to be disrespectful, but I can see that being quite a heavy one for them poor guys there.
Yeah. But then we've got the Sunday fixtures coming on to Sheffield Steel Dogs against Solway again.
So it's a double header that weekend for them.
Yeah, back at the Sheffield there.
I'm going to flip my idea on this one. I'm going to give Solway this win.
Oh, do you think the travel's going to be the difference?
Yeah, I do. I think Solway will pick up a result in one of those games. I honestly do.
Maybe like an overtime?
Yeah.
Potentially?
Yeah, potentially.
Yeah. Good shout. I think I'd just edge it to Sheffield again there. But I see where you're coming from. That travel to Solway is a killer. We've done that ourselves and we've seen how we've performed there. So, yeah. We've got Romford Raiders against Swindon Wildcats.
Again, they'll play each other again earlier in the week, so I'm going to go for Swindon again.
Yeah.
You know, no brainer. Great goaltending, great goals going in the back of the net. Swindon.
Agree. We've got the Phantoms against the Pitbulls.
Again, a double header weekend.
Yeah.
I'm just going to stay with what I said. Phantoms again for me.
4-point weekend for the Phantoms incoming then.
Yeah.
And then Hull, we've got Telford. We've talked about this one before.
We have talked about this one. Bit of a bogey team for Hull. It's hard not.
Chamberlain.
Oh. That's probably what we all want. We're not worried about the result. We just want the gloves drop in. But is Detbarmer going to step in there instead and think, you know, our fans taking Mark Crown back as the hard man in the league? That is, a little wink to you there, Decky. So we'll see. It's hard not to have your own sort of team backed there. I will go for Seahawks though.
Yeah, all the way, through and through.
And the final fixture for the weekend will be Berkshire Bees and Leeds Knights.
That could be a heavy one as well.
It could be a heavy one.
Defeat.
You know, like I said before, no disrespect and kudos to those guys for plugging on, but I can only see Leeds just keeping that charge going for the league title there, and that's should be a firm victory for me, for Leeds.
Yeah, I agree.
And that concludes the fixtures for the week.
Yeah.
And that concludes this episode of the Slapshot Syndicate. We hope you've enjoyed it. Please like, subscribe and follow us for more content. We've got plenty planned for 2025. This won't be the end of us.
Yeah, 2025 is looking like a good year, guys. Make sure you stay tuned and thanks for joining us.
Take care. Farewell.
That's a wrap!